Hey everyone, we're back and we're going to have a look at Life in Trance, which is my latest single on Pure Trance. It's actually taken from Pure Trance Volume 9, which I have a copy of here, which Rich sent to me, Solar Stone. And it's on CD2, which was mixed by Stoneface and Terminal. So, story behind the track is that Rich sent me an email saying, do you have any material for the compilation? And I sent him this track and he signed it. And then it came out 4th of March and it's currently in the Beatport Top 100, number 4, which is great. So thanks very much everyone who's bought a copy. If you're streaming it on Spotify, that's also great. You know, it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you're listening and enjoying. That's what matters to me. So we'll dive in. So this project was made in Ableton Live 10. I just updated to Ableton Live 11 like 2 weeks ago. And so we're going to work in this project, go through everything step by step. So it's style-wise, it's kind of like a euphoric, uplifting 140 BPM trance track. It kind of fits into the sound of Pure Trance because it doesn't use any of the, harder elements that you hear these days, like the reverse bass lines and stuff, which I don't even think is really trance. It's tech trance, tech stuff, but this is like really pure, in my opinion anyway. It's all about the melody. So let's start with the kick and bass. So for the kick and bass bus, I'm using the same bus effects unit that I used for Scent. So this is like using a bit of saturation, vintage channel, and then some compression and a bit of EQ. So these are the analog emulation from Solid State Logic, and basically I'm using this strip on everything, every track that I'm working on. At the moment, I'm using this channel for my bass bus, kick and bass bus. For the kick, I didn't choose a kick that I normally use. For this one, I chose something that's a little bit more sharp. I heard it on a remix by Activa from like 2014 or something like that. And then I found it in the sample pack. So it kind of sounds like this. And yeah, basically 4 to the floor. And, I kind of have a way of works now, like the way that my production works is that I can template up everything that I need from like a track that did well. So take, for example, this one. It's actually, I looked at the ingredients list of Scent and thought that's like the right amount of ingredients that I want to use. So just, you can see there's like just more than 90 channels, which is kind of standard. I'm also using like a auto filter to filter out the kick, just make those transitions a bit smoother. It's something which I advise people to do, is to try and make your transitions as smooth as possible. So you can use volume automation, auto filter, use whatever your DAW has to be able to filter out those sounds and then bring them back in. On the mid basses, I've got 2 groups. So for the mid bass, this one here, this is kind of like my own stack. 5 layers of different things, like from Spire, Sylenth, and then I just stacked it together. It was used on Sandglass with Renali, and then I've just used it here and there and everywhere, really, every record. Just either doing syncopated rhythms or using it as like the proper rolling bass line. But for this one, it's a syncopated, like stabby rhythm. And of course, I'm doing like some sort of funky chord changes here. For the next mid bass group, I've got things from Activa. So it looks like I've got here 2 Sylenth. Don't know where that comes from actually. Right, it's from the Activa pack again. So I like to use these sounds from like Activa's, I think is, yeah, Activa Trance Essentials Volume 2. He gave like a small Sylenth pack. I kind of like to use them a lot, just as a way like bread and butter sounds for something you can have in your lower mids. So you see there's a bit of a balance going on. You've got the first mid bass group, which is kind of like a sharp, stabby, syncopated rhythm. And then you've got the second mid bass group, which is going to provide the lower mids a bit more of a rolling feel. Also got this sample here. So this is something which I just dropped in. And then just transpose it to go along with everything else standard, really. And, you know, you get like a bit of a weird, depending on what warp effect you're using or whatever DAW you're using, you get a bit of a weird sound when you transpose things. I don't know what to call it, really. It's probably got a technical term, but you don't hear it when everything else is going on. So altogether, it sounds like this. Let's just group these together first. I'll show you. And that was it. That was like good enough for me to go, you know, and just throw in a sub. So for the sub, I think I used sample. Yeah, I used the sample from Activa and the standard peaks and troughs of the harmonic zones of the key. So what I like is like when I use Pro 3 is that I can just grab these and then move them to whichever key the track's in. And then it's just like super quick to get ideas down. Altogether, that's like this. It's like super clean and super simple, and that's what I want. I want my tracks to have like a really clean driving low end and then have all the pretty stuff on top. For percussion bus, I'm using quite a few things. I've got clap here from Vengeance Essential Club Sounds Volume 2. That's kind of like a hard trance clap, like a Cosmic Gate type clap. Then you've got one of these loops as well. Standard stuff. Together with a few of these hats, which I can just group together. It's off hats and closed hats, open hats and closed hats. And what else have we got? Yeah, so these are some of the loops. So if you've watched the tutorial, well, I say tutorial, if you watch the walkthrough of Scent, I've used the Tidy sample pack, which is from Loopmasters, and I've used it again on this one. So I think I'll just show you. Simple loops, but they're just not like, you're not using Dave Parkinson packs. You're not using the sort of stuff that everybody else is using. And anyway, whatever happens, not many people really hear it unless they're listening to the extended mix where it shows in the first 9 bars. Got a ride as well. And one thing which I need to mention as well is that, you know, you've got all this percussion going on, but you don't really want it to clash too much with the kick. So I should just point out that on these loops here, I've got LFO tool where I'm just ducking it so then it still gives that pumping effect when the kick's going on top. Same thing for the ride. When I've got the ride hitting to create like that doubled up effect, I'm using a delay. I'm not actually doubling up the ride. Like instead of going da 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 da, I'm just doing ba ba ba. But then you're using the delay, so it makes it go like it's kind of like bouncing. If I take the LFO tool off, you can hear it better. This is kind of like a galloping feel. Chung chugga chung chugga chung. And then you put the LFO tool on top. It just creates like a nice texture. Okay, so I've just moved the leads down because I just want to show you the bog standard stuff here. So sub drop, which we've used before, same effects kick, it's just a generic impact. Standard white noise sweeps, nothing too much going on that's different to what I normally do because I've templated what I do now. Helps you get ideas down fast because a white noise is a white noise. A riser is a riser. And snares, again, simple snare roll. So this is just using the velocity instead of using something like volume or using filter. But feel free to do whatever you like, really. It's just that I've got this from another project and I just keep putting it in, like using it every time. For crashes, I've got the Activa crash cymbal. Like a standard 909 sound, just with a bit of reverb on. As you can hear, it's actually quite a long reverb. I was always wondering about like how long to make reverb for your crashes. I think it really depends what vibe you're going for, because for me, this is like a big, epic, like early 2000s style uplifting melodic trance. So you can afford to make the sound a bit airy and washy by having longer reverbs, and I think it adds to the overall feel of the track as well. Subpad, which is again standard from Sylenth. And one thing I did here was to create a smooth transition from the sort of intro drop to the breakdown. So in here, I'm going to just solo the kick bass and this. Little things like that just make the transition a lot more smooth. I used to like to do things where you have like a big aggressive intro drop and then it would just cut straight down to nothing, and doesn't really, I mean, it works for some of the harder trance guys and the tech trance guys, but when you're doing uplifting, like people are going to keep dancing, and if you just cut into nothingness, it's just a bit weird on the dance floor. So this I think this is 9 bars. Is it 9 bars? Yeah, this 8 bars. This 8-bar section here is kind of like where people start to slow down when they're dancing. So like they could be dancing here and then they realize, oh, the breakdown's coming. I'm gonna stop dancing, put my arms up in the air, and I think it works really well, and I've started doing that a lot more. For acids, so I told a lie on my previous video, which was about scent. I said that after scent, I started using the TD3, but it wasn't actually true. It was after this project that I started using the TD3. So for this one, I'm still using Sylenth, and it's just 303s, which I have from another project. So 2 different types of 303. Standard 303 sound, quite resonant. And I've got another one here. So that's like your distorted, squelchy 303. Also, I've used these choirs, which I took from Scent. These ones were, again, like samples, which are then put through a big reverb. Again, creating like that ethereal effect. I also have some tonal reversing reverb sounds. And that is kind of like a signature thing. So when it drops, you can feel like there's these signals. I think I talked about this on the past video, which was that in your track, you should have signals, little ways of telling people the track is coming in, little ways of telling people that it's, because if they know it and they really like it, they'll hear that little thing, and it'll really make their day. When they're on the dance floor and they're listening to a big set, if it's like huge volume and there's loads of bass, you need those tiny little pretty things that just signal it's a different tune, and yeah, it'll make their day. I also have some acids here, which is kind of like a can't remember what it's called. We've got high pass, low pass, and then there's another one. Band pass, that's it. Band pass effect. So this is supposed to be a bass line, but I've used it as a psytrance kind of. I call it psytrance. It's just like a warping sound. So if I play it alone, I think I've had to automate. No, I haven't. Okay. It's because there's an LFO assigned to the cutoff. So let's have a look. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. It's usually the case most time. So this here is, again, just another one of those signals. I've also got more of these aggressive sounds. So for this one, I've taken it from the latest Dave Parkinson pack, and it's like acid loops, but I've only cut parts of it to make big sort of tonal sweeps. And what's great about that is because I was trying to, Magnus, he has, he's like the psytrance guy, and he has these big acids that go like pew. And I've been trying to figure out how to do it for so long. And then I just heard this sample and I thought, it's so close, I'm just going to do that. So it's so cool because it's like adds a bit more aggressive, like it adds a bit more aggression to the tune where it's already quite melodic. We've also got acid synth here. So that's like again adding more drive, more aggressive feeling to the whole track. That's another thing that I like to make sure that my tracks have is like yeah, they can be floaty at times, but they're always going to have like a kick up the arse. Or so for as well as that, I've also got another acid here. And that's like with the phasery type flanger effect. So everything together just sounds like it's moving. It's not just static. Just loads of texture really, and it's what counts. Nice texture that still pumps along with the kick and bass. I've got Activa fills here, so this is just taking the percussion effects from Activa and then just layering them together to make a fill. Always helps. Another way that you can signal that something's coming, or you can signal like another drop's coming. Always worth doing, and try to stay away from the generic fills that you hear people use a lot. I also have some what I call character effects. I like to make sure that I have something different going on. So for this, I've used laser sounds. Just cool sounds. And I've also got this sort of Das Boot submarine sound. And I think that was because I heard the Noble Six. I heard that sound effect in a few of his tracks. It's also being used by Raja Ram in some Psytrance track. I can't remember the name. But again, it's like something which it's just super cool. And also, I'm not doing it on the tonic. Like I'm not doing it on C sharp. I'm doing it on like a different note. I've transposed it to be. Let's think about it. I think it's like a fifth above. So then it creates a bit more harmonic interest in your ears. Because if everything was all on C sharp, then it would be kind of monotonous. So for this, it's like adding a few things that are adding more harmonic interest, whether it's the tonal reverses, whether it's the other sounds that I'm going to show you. You know, it's to try and keep it exciting. I still believe that trance listeners can enjoy a track that's longer than 5 minutes or 4 minutes. Like you don't have to make it super, super fast. I don't know why so many labels are cutting the size down for Spotify, but if you want the extended version, you're going to buy the extended version. So it's not like I'm saying you need to keep trance listeners interested when you're using all these sounds, but I think you can afford to keep your track a bit more simple and not have something like blah, blah, blah in people's faces all the time. So I've also got these fifth sounds, which are from Scent. I liked it a lot. I wanted to use it again. I think I've used that, yeah, just in the intro and the outro. intro melody taken from Sylenth. Nowadays, I'm using the Novation K station for this sound. It's just your generic trance pluck, but on the hardware, because of course you've got the V station, which was the software version of the K station. But I've done a side-by-side comparison with the same preset, and the K station has a lot more warmth. So it's a good investment. Like, I found this at a second-hand music instrument store in Bangkok, and I was like, why do you want this? Why do you want this? It's from 2001. I said, because it's like a trance synth. K station's up there with the Virus and the Nord lead and all these other sounds. Anyway, so for this one, I used it on Sylenth, and it sounds like this. I think Solarstone thought that I'd taken inspiration for this from one of his tracks, because he's just said that on Pure Trance Radio that he recognizes it from one of his records, which he released in the early 2000s. It's just complete coincidence. I just it's like playing thirds in this synth. It's just so nice. Just great. That's pure trance to me. You can hear there's also this other sound which I use, the square sound here. That is a tribute to Jonas Stur, who, had some amazing records out that were made popular by Armin and by Tiesto. I always listen to his stuff, and he used a lot of these square sounds that sit in the background and just create a lot more of like a smoother atmosphere. Kind of all talks to each other as well, if you think about it. And it's like filling the space. You're not going crazy with the pluck. It just fits so well together. And then on the pads, I'm using Nexus, I think it's the same one as always, the Airwave Trance. And just filtering that in, holding it on the tonic all the way, filter it in, filter it down into the breakdown. Lovely. You can see the chords. Just took the melody and then made all the notes into like bar long or 2 bar long sustained notes. So it's just the same. It's the same melody as it's the same notes as the main melody, but turned into chords, and that just helps everything flow together a bit nicely. And of course, this breakdown wouldn't be the way that it is without using these character pads. I think these just make it sound so magical. There's this one here. Just gorgeous sound. That's like a remake of the 4 strings Take Me Away pad on Sylenth. And then I've got this one here, which I've found, which is from Nexus. Yeah, just wonderful. Don't sleep on evolving pads. Should really add them, and it gives a lot more. It just feels like a story, you know. I love music. Next as well, using Anjuna pad, just something to put underneath really and keep it fat. Yeah, this breakdown just feels like a warm hug. Then we go into the last part, which is this main melody, which I didn't ponder over for much time actually. I just had it in my head and got it down. I didn't try to make it all stay in one place, but that's what's kind of happening with my music these days, is it all flows quite well together and it's not like all over the place. You don't have to make your trance super saw melodies ridiculously epic. You can just keep them quite tame and they will still have impact as long as you've got the tone of the record just right, which luckily did happen in this case. But you can see what's happening is these notes at the top are the ones that are kind of like dominating. So you've got, let's have a look. So you got, you've got that, which is kind of like what's primarily what your ear is going to hear. And then you've got this sort of secondary part underneath. And the way that it works, as far as I see it anyway, maybe I'm just being a bit sad here, but I'm seeing it as a conversation between the high note and that middle note motif, like passing it between each other. I just see it as being like that. I mean, this is party music after all. It's not so profound, but I see it as having like a magical quality to it. Anyway, so that's made up of 3 different synths. You've got JP, which is your JP Performance preset, Adam Sabo on Zebra. Got the synth from Spire, another sort of super saw. And that creates a little bit more of an analog feel, I think. Because this one here is like a JP 8080. And and then this one's got a bit more harshness, like a bit like a virus. And then this third one here. It's a bit more plucky. So it's kind of like you've got the main sound, which is your proper trance super saw. You've got your more harsher sound to make sure that it cuts through the mix, and you've got your plucky sound, which makes sure that it kind of like adds a bit more body to the sound. And then that's it. Don't like do too much. This part here is where I just wanted to reintroduce that intro melody again without going straight back into the drop. So I just do a small build up here, and that's where it's where you can kind of, you know that the track's finished and you're gonna dance again. Just filtering everything back in. So that's it. This track is, it's currently number 4 in the Beatport Top 100 for trance, which is fantastic. I think as a concept, it's generally more about musical expression than it is about technical wizardry on this one. But if you do have any more questions about this project, or if I've missed anything, or you just want a bit more things clearing up, feel free to leave some questions in the comments. I also want to say hello to new subscribers, because I've seen since the last time I uploaded the video about Scent, I've got a few more subscribers, which is great. This is something that I'm going to try and do as much as I can. Every new record that I release, I want to try and give you a story behind the way that it came together, maybe a bit of an insight into my creative mind, because I am a creative person. I'm not as much as a technical person. And as you can see, you don't need to be both to put a track in the top 100. So, that's it. And I will see you next time. Cheers.